From Asian Tiger to Aging Tiger, South Korea's Economy in 2025 by Azlan Adnan. In the latter half of the 20th century, South Korea surged from the ashes of war to the heights of prosperity. Once counted among the miracle economies of East Asia, it joined the ranks of the four Asian tigers, standing shoulder to shoulder with Hong Kong, Singapore, and Taiwan. Today, however, the roar has quietened. In 2025, the South Korean economy presents a portrait not of collapse but of deepening fatigue, exhausted by its own success, aging fast, and confronted by the dual burdens of demographic decline and diminished global demand. The World Bank projects GDP growth at just 2.3% for 2025, marginally higher than 2024's 1.4%, but still far from the vibrancy of decades past. Once driven by a manufacturing and export-led model, South Korea now finds its structural weaknesses more exposed than ever. An economy built on technological innovation, global trade, and a tireless workforce is now forced to confront the consequences of low fertility, a shrinking labor pool, and mounting social expenditure. The aging nation. At the heart of this transformation lies the demographic crisis. South Korea now holds the world's lowest fertility rate, just 0.72 births per woman in 2024, well below the replacement rate of 2.1. The population is projected to shrink by over 10% by 2050, and the median age is already above 44. The old age dependency ratio, the number of people aged 65 plus per 100 working age adults, continues to climb steeply. As a result, pension costs are ballooning while the productive base erodes. A diminishing workforce means lower potential output, lower tax revenues, and greater fiscal pressure. The country's celebrated work ethic can no longer compensate for the sheer lack of young people to power its industrial machine. The tragedy is not in sudden collapse, but in the slow arithmetic of demographic inevitability. The new president's challenge. South Korea's newly inaugurated president, Yoon Suk-min, a former economist and lawmaker known for his moderate conservatism and reformist instincts, enters office amid this malaise. His administration inherits not only the economic headwinds of the post-pandemic world and geopolitical tensions in Northeast Asia, but also the deep structural rot threatening long-term prosperity. While Yu campaigned on a platform of rational innovation, he now faces the formidable challenge of reconciling economic realism with political deliverables. His vision hinges on restoring growth through three main avenues: labor market reform, fiscal sustainability, and a productivity renaissance. Proposed policies and their intended results. 1. Labor market reforms. Yu has signaled support for a multi-tiered immigration reforms, proposing to significantly expand work visa quotas for skilled and semi-skilled foreign workers. South Korea's foreign population, currently around 4%, is far lower than that of other developed nations. By increasing legal pathways for long-term foreign workers and offering faster citizenship for highly educated migrants, his administration aims to plug gaps in care, construction, agriculture, and even tech sectors. Furthermore, he plans to restructure youth employment schemes by expanding vocational training and subsidizing private sector internships. The objective is to ease the transition from school to work and reduce chronic youth unemployment, which remains above 8%. 2. Family and fertility support. To arrest population decline, Yu's government intends to double child-rearing subsidies, increase parental leave, and offer generous tax incentives for dual-income families with children. A new pilot scheme in Seoul and Busan will trial free public childcare for all children under 5 by 2027. The aim is not merely to encourage births, but to reduce the disproportionate burden placed on mothers, whose exit from the workforce has exacerbated labor shortages. However, critics argue that without a shift in workplace culture, such as entrenched overtime and rigid hierarchies, these financial incentives may have only limited effect. 3. Fiscal and pension reform. South Korea's national debt has swelled to over 55% of GDP, up from 38% in 2017. Yu has proposed a fiscally conservative framework, including gradual increases in the retirement age from 62 to 65 by 2035, and a modest rise in VAT from 10% to 12% to stabilize pension funding. His critics on the left call this regressive, but Yu insists it's necessary to future-proof the social contract. Simultaneously, he aims to digitize government services to reduce public sector costs, drawing inspiration from Estonia's e-governance model. 4. Innovation and green growth. Yu is doubling down on South Korea's strengths in semiconductors, green hydrogen, and AI by launching a 30 trillion future growth fund. This is expected to be channeled into startups, university R&D, and industrial clusters, particularly outside the capital region, to address regional economic disparity. He also supports the expansion of nuclear energy and green infrastructure, arguing that climate security is economic security. The broader aim is to transition South Korea into a post-industrial innovation hub that is less dependent on cyclical exports. 5. Housing and inequality. To counter disillusionment among young Koreans, Yu has promised to build 300,000 new affordable homes in high-demand cities and overhaul speculative property taxes. Income inequality, especially between generations and regions, is widening, and without reforms, risks fueling further social polarization. External pressures and strategic uncertainty. Beyond domestic reform, South Korea must also navigate a treacherous global environment. Tensions with China, its largest trading partner, are sharpening, while security reliance on the United States remains paramount. Rising interest rates globally have dampened demand for Korean exports, especially in semiconductors, where overcapacity is now a risk. Korea's chaebols, family-run conglomerates, are still powerful, but face renewed scrutiny. Although they drive innovation and exports, their dominance in key sectors often crowds out smaller firms and stifles entrepreneurial diversity. Yu's administration may seek to rein in their monopolistic behaviors through stronger antitrust enforcement, though he must tread carefully not to spook markets. The road ahead. South Korea's future is not without hope. Its educational attainment remains world-class. Its infrastructure, digital readiness, and cultural influence through K-pop, K-drama, and soft power remain potent. But in 2025, the economic path ahead depends less on speed and more on stamina, on the long, hard reforms needed to adapt to a society that is graying, more global, and increasingly post-industrial. President Yu's policies mark an attempt to engineer a soft landing, to preserve dynamism while preparing for contraction, to reform without rupturing the consensus, and to restore confidence in a nation that once believed its best days were always ahead. Whether he succeeds will depend not only on his political capital, but on the will of a people being asked, once again, to rebuild the future from the ground up. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope, so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly, clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again, its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.